Hello and welcome back. For today's topic, we will be going over deviances of the body, such as characteristics like obesity. To begin with, let's think back to our childhoods and what movies we watched and what kinds of toys we played with. Personally, I've noticed trends with animated cartoons or even standard figures for toys, such as Barbie dolls. They're of a majority all skinny or fit, the men likely being buff and the women being unrealistically skinny. I've also personally never seen a fat Barbie or Ken doll. These are reflections of societal standards for how a man or woman should look or their normative appearances. Well, what is supposedly a standard, whether achievable or not. Society has stigmatized appearances for many years. This still shows up in modern society in stigmatizing individuals for not being desirable or appealing to what is, quote, normal. Though norms and expectations show up in different forms, which is what I will be teaching you today, and the contrasting ideals of appearances, specifically in relations to weight. Society sets expectations for the roles and looks of genders. This means that society sets expectations of weight, which often reflects the roles genders are supposed to partake in. Women are often treated harsher when they are overweight compared to men because of this idea. When women are overweight, they deviate from the societal norms and expectations that a woman should be small, feminine, morally sound, and desirable. This portrays a dual deviance that women who are obese are both seen as physically and morally deviant, and how they are seen as undesirable or ugly, as well as lazy. The other day, I was talking to my friend about societal expectations of women and how the importance of women's and girls' appearances are presented at very young ages, with even the toys and shows we're presented with. This provides the deeply rooted concept that women should be presentable and appealing, which is tied to a woman's identity more strongly in comparison to men. In contrast, comparing society's expectations from women to men, obese men aren't stigmatized as harshly as obese women are because of their specific norms and expectations. Men are often seen as protectors and providers, providing that they be stoic, dominant, and financially successful. This shows how men have more societal pressures to be successful in status and economics rather than physical looks. Although this doesn't mean obese men aren't stigmatized at all, just not as harshly or as severely as obese women. Perceptions of women's appearances are pushed at young ages and deeply integrated into society. It reminds me of the conversation I had with my friend and society's pressures of women to be perfect in reflection of cultural norms, which has recently evolved with the rising epidemic of weight loss drugs and cosmetic surgeries. She also commented on how society ridicules women for being obese much harshly than when a man is fat. More often than not, a guy who is fat is laughed with rather than laughed at. There's always a funny fat guy, but when it's a girl, she's gross and undesirable. Switching agendas from obese to too skinny, perceptions are only held of unattractiveness or unwanted looks for obese people, but also through individuals who are, quote, too skinny. In this case, more specifically towards men. Adding on to how society's expectations of men involve them being dominant, this concept is also tied to strength as well as physical dominance as well. Recently, my mother was talking about catching up with her friends and how one of her guy friends has lost a lot of weight and is looking skinny. This comment on him losing weight held an undertone of concern and in a way slightly disapproving. In contrast, when my aunt got on the new weight loss drug to lose weight, my mom commented on how she is looking a lot better and healthier while being skinnier. This is an example of a common thought throughout society. Scorning a man for being too skinny while praising a woman for being fit when it's often may just be unhealthy. Society expects more men to be strong and desirable, as the man typically has washboard abs, or even the trend of dad bods as being the attractive look, therefore showing how being too skinny deviates from that norm also, while when women are expected to be petite and desirable, showing the same results from the previous topic, but with a different starting point. In promoting norms for each gender and how they should look, there are no clear individual level winners and losers. Rather, corporations and economics thrive off of these stigmas. At a young age, girls are typically taught more to be presentable while boys are taught to be tough. Girls are given perfect skinny Barbie dolls and play makeup, while boys are given muscly figurines and fancy toy cars. Even movies and TV shows often depict the damsel in distress and the strong warrior who swoops in to save her. In the end, society puts more pressure on the looks of a woman while pressuring men to be resilient and successful. In pushing these agendas, corporations profit significantly off of the ideal look of a woman. Things such as cosmetic products, plastic surgery, and even other medicinal practices like weight loss drugs. Women are constantly judged for how they appear and pushed to fit in the attractive or desirable category. Societies values women's appearances significantly more than men's. This can be seen through how men aren't judged as hard when they gain a few pounds, but when a woman does, she's losing her morals and becoming unattractive. Even the promotion of products to change appearances are more widespread than men's, though this doesn't mean that men aren't judged for their appearances, but it's just applied heavily towards women and differently in a man's case. As men are still judged for being too skinny because of the norm of masculinity, corporations and economics may also benefit from this in ways such as promoting financial success with high work performances, sports and gym culture, and even the occasional medical interventions to support their masculine presentation. The promotion of sports can also reinforce the masculine identity and promote values of physical strength and dominance. These promotions lead to stigmatizations of those who deviate from the norms and even lack the means to achieve these expensive luxuries, such as medical procedures. This harms the identity of both men and women in dehumanizing ways that have impacted society at large. The problem is beyond obesity or being too skinny at this point, becoming truly integrated and damaging in society. There are real and severe consequences of stigmas regarding how someone looks, such as their weight. It has effects on social status, mental health, and unequal treatment and discrimination. According to a research conducted by Rebecca Poole, obese children are 63% more likely to be bullied than an average-sized child. This also provides to the results that overweight children are 2 to 3 times more likely to have suicidal thoughts. Early childhood is important to developmental and into teenage years and adulthood, which can impact their future significantly. Teachers may even reaffirm fat-phobic ideas into other children by making jokes and not holding students accountable for their actions, which can further impact the societal views of obese individuals. Stigmas are often deeply rooted in society, even through getting jobs and building relationships. This has led to fat individuals to statistically be more likely to live in poverty, be jobless, have lower income, and have lower educational levels. These exclusions and negative views can even be impacted at individual levels with the internalization of these beliefs of stigmas are truths despite other circumstances that may impact how someone looks, such as genetics and accidents, impacting the way individuals look. Individuals who violate norms such as appearances are treated more harshly, remembered less, and rewarded less, which can provide to this lower self-esteem and internalization of stigmas that in turn may impact societal status by a self-fulfilling prophecy as well. Overall, How someone looks determines how they are treated by society, and aligning deviances with being fat or having deformities has real impacts on individuals who may not deserve to be labeled and treated differently because of factors that may be out of their hands. Some key takeaways I want you guys to remember from today is how much impacts of stigmas of physical characteristics has on society, but also how society are the ones who construct these differences. Appearances become subjects of deviance because of norms and cultural expectations, despite the fact that more often than not, appearances are biological or even altered in accidents and are unchangeable. This impacts stigmatizations, influencing people to be treated differently and blamed for their appearances, as well as deserved or even a lack of morals. In societal expectations, men and women have contrasting norms, whether it be being obese or too skinny, often delving deeper into the structural impacts society has on aesthetics. It's even common for society to be aware of these physical attributes of deviance and still hold true to these ideals. Even though the narrative of the even through the narrative of the Barbie movie released not too long ago, stigmatization, undesirable attributes will continue to persevere at the cost of those living day by day being devianced for how they look. I hope this message impacts you all to not be harsh on yourself as well as others, as it only takes a shift in culture to alleviate the lives of those impacted by societal views of physical characteristics of deviance. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.